Hello, everybody. Welcome to Albion Obsessed, episode number 20. We are here after a wonderful result against Chelsea, but we'll get onto that in a moment. Boys, I'm feeling really tired today, I have to admit. I might start falling asleep. We're going to have to get the boys in some more rotation.
Yeah.
You know, these podcasts, one after the other, they're just doing me in,
I
guys.
know, yeah. I thought you'd bring that up. I sort of knew you would.
I know. I'm very triggered by it. As you've probably seen on Twitter, but
Really?
oh well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Would you believe it? We are joined by a very special guest today, Richie Mills of Sussex Live, who reports on the Albion. Amazing work. I love to read your stuff. He looks shocked that I'm complimenting him. Richie, welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm really bad with compliments. I kind of usually then go, like, if someone says, like, you know, you did well, then I go, no, you did. So, but thanks for the kind words.
No, you're welcome. We are also joined by Kurtis. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing better after yesterday, so yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's pretty much a carbon copy of what we saw back in December, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Absolutely. And we are here with Tom. How are you doing, Tom? Are you feeling better?
I genuinely am tired. COVID is exhausting, but I'm pleased to say that I'm coming out the end of it now.
Good.
That's good. Good to hear. Thomas Tuchel, eat your heart out, mate. Anyway, so we, as I said on the last podcast, we like to start the podcast now with reminiscing about some goals that have made us feel just amazing, really. And we're going to pass the question to Richie. He did tell us what the goal was before we started recording. But yeah, I'm going to pass it over to you, Richie. The goal that makes you feel, every time you think of it, makes you feel the same way.
Yeah, so just in terms of Brighton, I've been covering them as a journalist for about 15 months or so, but for the majority of that time, it was without fans. So it wasn't the kind of the proper sensation that you really want to get from a football match. So to see, you know, Brighton come from 2-0 down to beat, you know, the champions-elect Manchester City with 8,000 or so fans, and that was maybe apart from the sort of the Crystal Palace game recently, but that was one of the best atmospheres I've ever been to. And the stadium was like, you know, third, fourth or something like that, if that. So, yeah, and just the way that they came back, there was just like a carnival type atmosphere. There was a little bit like maybe not quite nothing to lose, but they just sort of were not daunted by going 1-0 and then 2-0 down. And yeah, they were just fearless. And then, so the goal, to answer your question, was Dan Burns one when, you know, that was his, I think, first goal for the club. I think his first since 2018 for Wigan back in League One or something like that. And it was it was one of those ones where from where I was, I didn't actually know what happened, because he had a shot and then he almost like sort of fell over himself. And then he had another stab in it. And he just like this kind of giraffe gallivanting along, and then he managed to put it in the corner, and then next thing you know, he's just under about 10 Brighton players, and just the whole stadium is just, the roof just came off. But, that was, every time I look at that, I think that was such a special night. I felt so privileged to cover that game, and it just made me warm to Brighton even more. It was very, very special.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we've spoken about a lot on the podcast as well. As you mentioned, the gangliness and the giraffe on ice skates. It's the most Dan Burn goal ever. And I don't think he'll ever top that moment. Obviously, the goal against Everton, and obviously this season he's been absolutely incredible. But that goal against Man City, I really feel like that was the start of the rise of Dan Burn. Don't get me wrong, I loved him before. I know a lot of fans sort of got on his back a little bit. But yeah, I've loved Dan Burn ever since he come into the squad. And I just love to see what happening with him at the moment. And so does Aaron. I don't know if you've seen it, as I say, Richie, but Aaron, one of our guys that normally comes on, he absolutely loves Dan Burn. It started as a joke, but now he's doing really well.
I actually think he's in love with him. I
really do. Yeah. You should see our group chat. Exactly. But you touched on
how could you not love that face?
Well, exactly.
Is that Lukaku reaching out of his pocket?
If you're listening on Spotify, Kurtis just raised a picture of Dan Burn pocketing Lukaku to the screen.
Yes.
As I say, we'll get onto that game in a minute. Richie, you mentioned that that goal and that game made you warm to Brighton even more. So what's your journey? Where did you start, and how did you get into reporting about the Albion?
So it started many years ago. No, I'm joking. I did, but yeah. So basically, I went to uni and didn't do a course that I particularly liked, and then just randomly started sports blogging about a variety of different things. My main kind of interest is tennis. Roger Federer is my god. So then I just kind of kept on blogging, and then I applied for work experience in my local newspaper. Reporting on non-league football, which is hilarious at times. And then went and did this journalism course to get my sort of journalism qualifications. And then worked in kind of almost hot fuzz area, Southwestern news, kind of cows in the road and, the swans and all that.
Look at them swans then.
Just the one actually. So I did kind of news journalism for about 4 or 5 years in kind of Wiltshire and then Somerset and Bristol. And then about August 2020, a vacancy came up for Sussex Live, which was just like a few months old. And it was a chance to report on Brighton and go to the games. And the reason I got into journalism was because I love sport. And, for me, the best thing after playing sport is talking or writing about sport. So there was actually loads of redundancies going on. So it was a kind of this came out of the blue and I randomly got it, and I've loved it ever since.
Amazing. And so obviously from an outsider looking in, obviously I haven't supported the club for as long as we have, or followed the club, or was you aware of obviously the history, or did you have to do some research on the club before you started reporting, or was that not at the top of the list?
No, so I was before I started, a good friend of mine recommended this guy. I'm not sure if you heard of him, Jack Phillips. He sometimes goes on, I think, the Albion Raw podcast or something like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But he's very knowledgeable, and I just kind of, talked to him a lot. And because I was quite worried, I was like, I don't really know much about Brighton in terms of the history and stuff like that. So I did my research, but then I was told by kind of other journalists and other people, you kind of learn it as you go along, and then you get immersed into it. I have like a weird talent of remembering people's year of birth. So if you kind of give me a player from the Brighton team, I'm like, bang, it's just one of my weird.
We'll have to quiz you later.
So then I just kind of, as I went along, was just learning and more, and then just kind of as I read more and more, it was just like, wow, this history is like nuts. Just in like the last 25 years, it's just from the nadir to the zenith that they are at now. It's fantastic. So, and in terms of just from like an outsider, Brighton for me are a really friendly club in terms of the fan base. I'd say there's quite a lot of other teams that were definitely not as welcoming, and I think that's credit to Brighton and the fans.
Yeah, definitely. And what about the club itself? Like, because I'm sure now COVID has sort of tailed off a little bit. Obviously, it's still here and will be for the foreseeable. But obviously, I imagine you get to go to the press conferences now and in person. Do you, or no?
No. So this is a couple of things that I've got like a Brighton bucket list of things that I really want to do.
Oh, okay.
And obviously the first game that I actually covered was, sorry to bring it up, was the Brighton 2-3 loss to Manchester United.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that game, yeah.
Yes,
that one.
And that was just so weird because they blew the final whistle, and then the game restarted. I was like, "What does the final whistle mean anymore?" Just
yeah,
just the whole world is just But
that was ridiculous, that game.
Yeah. So I remember like calling my dad. I was like, "Are all football games like this, Papa?" Yeah. So unfortunately, I haven't actually been to a press conference in person. Every single one's been on Zoom.
Right.
The closest I've actually like got to, in a non-weird way, like Graham Potter and as an interview was there was a preseason game last summer at Luton, and a few of us were allowed to go pitch side, and I remember Graham Potter sort of mugging us off by saying that you look better on Zoom than you do in person. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to do a press conference in person or go to the. I think it's at the training ground in Lancing. So that's like two things I really want to do, and also just like in person like interviews with players about that. So that's still on my to-do list, sadly.
Yeah, definitely. But what they like to deal with, because I imagine you've dealt with the club directly. Are they a friendly bunch, or is it quite hard to get interviews and scoops?
So I'd say yeah, kind of in terms of the access that we get, unless you push for it, you just get the weekly press conferences with Graham,
right,
and then post after the match. You get two questions tops. I've asked for interviews, and the club have given me some. I've spoke to John Morlin, the academy boss, a few months into the job, which was I think end of 2020, and then I spoke to former under-18 boss Mark Beard, who was really good, and I chat to him regularly. He's a really, really good guy. Recently, the club very kindly gave us sort of local journalists, so like Brian Owen, Andy Naylor, and the like. We were allowed sort of a pooled interview with Enoch Mwepu, who is just awesome. Really, it warmed to him so much. And then sadly, on the day off again, Alexis McAllister came up. So, so in terms of like the club stuff, I think you have to sort of keep pushing, because I think with the way things go these days, I think clubs want to, and maybe it is understandable, they want to sort of control the narrative a bit. They don't want to, maybe risk an off-the-cuff type thing happening without them looking at it or being able to sort of, be there to tweak it, stuff like that. So they've been good to me. I'd obviously love more kind of interviews and stuff like that. But I'm still learning my trade. I'm only kind of 15 months into the job. In terms of like transfer stuff,
impossible.
Graham Potter never really responds to transfer speculation, and the press officers don't really do it either. They just say, we just don't respond to that sort of thing. On other stuff, they are helpful, but it's part of the learning curve, and sometimes you've got to read between the lines. And I don't criticize, because like so many people I think would love to be doing what I'm doing, so I'm not going to complain, because it's such a like during the pandemic, like I had some kind of mental health issues, and just like I got a smile literally every single time just being able to walk up to the Amex, just like that sort of fleeting, like ephemeral thing. It was just having something to look forward to every single weekend, when there was just like this almost morass of just not having stuff to look forward to, was just so good. So I'm so grateful to get this job, and also to the club as well.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, thank you for opening up about that, because I'm sure a lot of other people will resonate with it. And I know I did during the pandemic. I found lots of things to try and focus my mind on. When football came back, that was a massive help, because you had something to build up to, but it just wasn't the same. And obviously now it's back fully. It's just unbelievable, really. So yeah, thank you for that. And what is the end goal for Richie Mills? What do you want to do in your career? Like, where do you see yourself in the next sort of 10 years, I guess?
Well, I'd say tennis journalism would be the number one. I'd love to go to kind of all the Grand Slams.
Yeah.
I don't think Federer will be still playing at 50 or so, but he's going to be 41 this year, so who knows. But yeah, I'd say that's the end goal. But I do love club reporting. I think it's Sussex Live is sort of like my baby of sorts. It's kind of I'm the sole guy, and then I've got I go to the games, I do the press conferences, and that's great. I still want to kind of learn and improve and get better at what I do, and I think over time I'm getting better at that. I've done some articles that may could be better, and I'm still learning stuff like that. So, but yeah, loving it, and just want to keep staying in sport really.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, all of your stuff that I've seen is brilliant. I see you post on the Brighton groups on Facebook as well. So whenever your articles go up, I'll normally have a good quick read through. So yeah, keep it up, mate. And
Thank you.
Really good. I'll stop complimenting you now because it makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, call me a twat.
he'll just leave in a minute. He'll be like, I can't take it.
Yeah. Too much. Kurtis, Tom, did you have any questions or anything like that?
No, I think
I had one. Just one.
Oh, go on.
Yeah. Is there a particular piece that you've written or interview you've done you're quite proud of, or anything like that?
I'd say I really enjoyed writing the one I did, the long form interview I did with Mark Beard about the academy and how they've the great work that's going on there and the kind of intricate process that they're doing and how Brighton are punching above their weight and how they've gone from being playing against much smaller teams to getting Cat 1 status and then developing players like Ben White and others and stuff like that and then attracting players who could then go on to be big stars for Brighton or maybe sort of the other one. So I think just sort of learning the intricacies of how the kind of inner workings of the academy works and stuff like that. I think that was one I really liked telling. I also actually liked Tiny Cox, as they was it the fans called him. Spoke to him. He's a really nice guy. I really enjoyed telling his one. And also when he said he thought the piece was brilliant, I was like, oh, awesome, because you don't want them to come.
Yeah, that's always nice to hear, I bet. Yeah.
Tweet this, so yeah, I said those two.
Nice.
That's so good.
Nice.
Amazing. When you told me that you was turning our Craig McHale-Smith interview into an article, that was for me like a huge achievement.
Yeah, he messaged the group chat, was like, guys, oh my god.
I'm so excited.
It's coming out on Saturday.
Oh, exciting times.
Huge scoop, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I've always dabbled in football media, and like you, like obviously tennis is your end goal and you absolutely adore tennis. I would love to be working in the world of football. So this for me is like incredible to get the views that we do get. It's not many, but it's something. But I just do it for the love of it, really. And when you messaged me that, I was so privileged because it's one, a player that I absolutely adore, and two, to be in a news outlet of some kind is just amazing. So yeah, it's really great.
Just one thing I want to say on that point. So one thing that I really appreciate, like kind of what you guys do and other like of your sort of ilk, I love it when you have really knowledgeable fans being able to speak to like a former player or club legend or whatever, and the kind of the knowledge that you have is much more than like a general pundit or ex-player type thing from another team or whatever. And you can talk about the minutiae of certain things and you can go, oh, do you remember that time away at, I don't know, just a game in like League One or something like that, under Poyet or just, Houghton and it's just, and then you can just talk about these little things. And I love that kind of the passion that you get and that's what I think is really good about the kind of the fan stuff. So yeah, credit to you guys on that.
Oh, amazing. Thank you. Yeah, it's just all the, the things that we remember is just because of the love of it, and some tiny little minute things mean so much to us, and it just sticks. So yeah, it's great. But yeah, thank you for those little insights into the world of the media. And hopefully one day you will be at Wimbledon reporting on a final that hopefully another British guy wins, but we'll see. But yeah, let's divert and talk about what happened at the Amex yesterday. As I said to you, Kurtis, at the start, a little bit of a carbon copy of exactly what happened 21 days ago now at Stamford Bridge. And I think Chelsea actually scored roughly around the same time. Just before the game started, Kurtis, how were you feeling ahead of it? Was you confident?
It's weird, like, because I said, do you want us to send some videos in for the vlog thing? And before that, I was like really confident. I was like, I don't know, I can see something here. And then when it came to recording the video, I was like, oh God, I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. But I was like, I think this is probably just going to be a draw again. But it wouldn't have surprised me if we lost. So when we got the draw, obviously I was buzzing and everything. But yeah, again, I felt like just missing that attacking intent in that final third there. We definitely could have won that game. Absolutely could have won that game.
100%, and we're carrying on the reputation of being mystics on this podcast. I don't know if you've seen, Richie, but we just predict things left, right, and centre. Tom went for a 1-1 draw on the vlog, and it happened. Tom, how did you see the game panning out? And obviously, it was an amazing start. Chelsea didn't really create much until they scored.
No, just going back to pre-game, I'm going to hold my hands up and say that when I saw the team sheet starting 11. I had a moment of panic to see that Maupay and Trossard were benched.
Yeah, it was a bit odd.
I'll hold my hands up and say, I have complete faith in Graham Potter. He's long since dispelled the sort of fear that I used to get seeing like a bunch of names and thinking, well, who's playing where? I've long since learned that I trust his process. But seeing Maupay and Trossard on the bench did fill me, not with dread, but with a certain sense of, how are we going to set up? What's it going to look like? But within 5 minutes, all those sort of fears or anxieties had gone, because once again, we completely bossed Chelsea all over the park. I think until the last 10 minutes of the game, we were the better team. And I said in the previous podcast that it was always going to be tough because we didn't have Basuma, who ran the show at Stamford Bridge. But I'm going to say it now, Alzate's performance in that fantastic role was absolutely fantastic. I think it's the first time he's played 90 minutes since his injury back in September, and he was just brilliant. He was absolutely fantastic. He fitted in really seamlessly. Pascal Gross had a fantastic game, I tweeted out. It must have been quite hard because obviously Friday night, the disappointment of missing the penalty, that must have weighed heavily on him over the weekend, I'm sure. But to see him come back and be full of confidence and spraying balls around it was a joy to watch. So Potter once again got it absolutely spot on, and we nullified Chelsea. Our high press was really good in the first half. We were forcing them into mistakes, and there was a moment, I think about 5-10 minutes in, where Tuchel just looked. I think he kind of just shook his head.
Tired.
Yeah, tired, obviously. I mean, it's not like we played a game 8 o'clock the night before and they played at midday on the Saturday, but anyway, we were the better team. Our high press was really effective, and their goal just came out of nothing. We did allow them too much time and space in a dangerous area, and we paid for that. The bounce in front of Sanchez, I think, was the difference. I'd like to think that if that bounce hadn't occurred, I think Sanchez would have had that covered. It was disappointing, but I don't think anymore that I'm of the mindset where we've gone a goal down, it's game over. It was very much a case of we've gone a goal down, we go again. And it was just really pleasing to see that our intensity didn't drop. We kept doing the same things, and there was some absolutely magical moments. I'm going to pinpoint 2 for you in that first half. First half, Lamptey picks the ball up in our penalty area, makes a tackle, and then
he's gone.
That guy.
Off he goes. That moment, I genuinely laughed out loud because it was like prime. It was like watching Brazil. I know that's like.
I don't know if you saw there was a foreign commentator. Sorry to butt in, but there was a
I
foreign
know where you're going with
commentator,
this, Jay. I know exactly where you're
and
going with this.
he didn't have the words to just say how quick Lamptey was. I don't know if it's real.
It is real.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
He
Was
just
it like
turns
that?
into it. He just
Sorry, was
turns
it like
into a
that
car.
Adama Traore thing when the I think Spanish commentator just goes like,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was excellent.
So I don't know if that's dubbed, but yeah, that was brilliant.
It reminded me of Vicente against Ipswich. I think it was Ipswich, where he picks the ball up in the middle of the park and he just sort of weaves around people for fun. And Bridcut against Arsenal, similar sort of thing, very tight space, and he just gets out of it by just putting on the afterburners, and it was magical to see. And for Tariq Lamptey to do that against the club that he used to play for and was never really given the chance must have felt brilliant. Yeah. And then second moment, and then I will stop talking. His overall performance was an absolute masterclass. But Adam Webster bringing the ball out of defence, and there was one run he did. I think it was in the first half. It was really mazy. Started off by our penalty area, ran almost the length of the pitch, then laid it off, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant to watch. So yeah, the first half was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it, that we're talking about an incredible first half when obviously we lose the first half. But you pinpointed again the mentality of this squad. We've said it all along for God knows how long now that the mentality of this squad is just second to none. And if even if we're losing, I remember when we were losing like 3-0 to City. We got the penalty back, and then after that, Tariq Lamptey came on, and we were pushing. Obviously, I know City are very strong, and we probably weren't going to come back into that game at all. But just to see us trying, like in seasons gone by, that just wouldn't happen. But yeah, Richie, how do you see it from a journalist perspective with obviously how this team has changed? Because obviously, as you say, you started reporting back in 15 months ago when that game against United happens, and to see this team now, like what is the difference?
So, funny enough, I don't actually think it's that much difference. I think it's just like, to quote Potter, it's all about the margins. It's literally just like a couple of percentages that just things have just clicked. Like there were some games where they would play well for 45 minutes or maybe just kind of short bursts, and then, like, for example, I remember one game last season, it was West Brom at home, and they played decent in the first half. They went ahead, but then the second half they just was like non-existent. It was really, really strange. And then there was also the crazy loss at West Brom at the Hawthorns last February when they missed 2 penalties and had a goal ruled out, and then the Sheffield United lost and stuff like that. So, that is still possible. Like there are the games where we can have that, but I think it's just like. So I asked Graham Potter about this after the Everton game. Brighton, I think, dropped 25 points from winning positions last season. And this season, they're basically Fergie time. Like, they just love a late goal. So just in terms of the game management, they just seem to be a bit smarter. And those young players are a little bit more experienced and a bit more savvy, and maybe just in terms of decision-making. And then they've also got... kind of, to quote, I think Eddie Jones back in the day when like England 2016, they've got these kind of finishers who come off the bench and really deliver. And so I would say that there's definitely times when I think this season Brighton haven't played that great, but have got results. Like I said, the Burnley game away and the Brentford game away, I think prime examples. But then obviously they've had fantastic things against like Liverpool and obviously both Chelsea games. But yeah, in terms of just confidence, just like the ability to play the champions of Europe almost off the park for long periods is just fantastic, and some obviously the chance, champions of Europe, you're having a laugh, and was it champions of Sussex, you'll never be that sort of thing. But it's just, it was just I and obviously, sorry, just random a bit, not that long ago there was an 11-match streak without a win, so I think, obviously the difference is they are they still can't destroy teams. It's sort of like kind of narrow stuff, 1 or 2 goals. So if they can obviously get that, then they could really rock it up. But I think there's small changes, but they are making big differences.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we obviously the answer to what you say in destroying teams is a very obvious answer that all Brighton fans are calling for, is the 50-60 million pound striker who's going to get us 20 goals a season, which, you know, is quite unrealistic, especially at the moment in January. You're never going to get that really. But yeah, we'd love to see it. But what we are doing, as what Tom's pointed out multiple times, obviously we've battered Chelsea. I know we haven't won the game both times, but we've battered them on the park. We played them at their place, went toe to toe with them. We looked absolutely incredible. After we scored yesterday, I really thought we could go on and win it. We'll come to that goal now. Actually, the Adam Webster header. Tom, you mentioned obviously his performance itself. How close, Kurtis, is Adam Webster to an England call-up? If you were Gareth Southgate and you take your Brighton tinted glasses off, do you call him up tomorrow?
He's had a recent spate of injury. That's the only concern I have with Adam Webster. If he can keep fit and keep performing the way he's performing, I don't see why not. You know, he's just excellent. He just bossed him and Dan Burn yesterday were outstanding. Different gravy, son. Different gravy. But like, I just think, definitely Webster could get into an England squad. Absolutely. I mean, it's a shame that we never got to see Dunk there, but up on the one time, I should say. But definitely Webster, I think, could do it. Yeah,
for sure. And Tom, you wanted us to point out a tweet by Jamie Carragher, who said he was the best England centre-back with both feet. Or something along those lines.
Yeah, he was talking about taking the ball out of defence and his distribution. And I think last night, as I've already alluded to, it was a masterclass. His ability to bring the ball out and to run 20, 30, 40 yards with it at his feet. And Chelsea they just backed off and they seemed afraid to put a tackle. And then, you know, just with both feet, left and right, he can just spray the ball. And a lot of Arsenal fans in the comments to that particular tweet were getting very agitated that it wasn't Ben White. And some of the Brighton fans were obviously bantering them by saying, oh, yeah, well, Ben White was our third best centre-back last season.
Still the truth.
I mean, so I said to one of them, it's like, at the end of the day, Ben White is an incredible player and he will go on to great things. He's also 4 or 5 years younger than Webster. I think Webster's 27, 28 and Ben White's 23. And obviously Lewis Dunk is 30, I think. So obviously Ben White has youth on his side. But if I'm Gareth
Southgate, he knows the date of birth.
Yeah. Okay. Ben White, 1997, so 24. Lewis Dunk, 1991. So 30, and then Adam Webster, 1995, January, so he's just turned 27.
You are literally bang on. I'm just looking at it right now.
Boom.
Nerd. I've almost lost hope that Gareth Southgate will see sense in a way. I say see sense. That sounds really, really arrogant. But last season, we had Ben White, Adam Webster, and Lewis Dunk in a back three that conceded after Christmas. Only Chelsea conceded less goals than Brighton. And I thought to myself then, if he doesn't pick any of those three now, he's not going to pick them. I'd like to think that since then, Adam Webster has gone on and he's improved and he's looking a really fantastic centre-back who can play as part of a back three and in a back two. But as Kurtis has said, his injury issues this season may be the only thing that holds him back in terms of an England call-up. But he's got to be better than Harry Maguire and Tyrone Mings. I think Connor Cody's obviously decent, but I think he should definitely be in the equation somewhere.
Yeah, and Richie, there might be a bit of bias because obviously you report on the Albion, but I always like to ask a non-Albion fan this question: do you see any of the current Brighton players that are doing really well getting an England call up at all? Lamptey, obviously Burn now, Webster.
I think it seems sadly like the ship for Lewis Dunk might have sailed, and I think that's a big shame because I think like you say, I think he's just better than, especially Tyrone Mings. But I think so. There was apparently in the summer, there was actually talk that Webster was someone being considered. He was kind of potentially on the periphery. I think the reason why White got picked was that he was just so versatile. He played across the kind of back three and then defensive midfield, and also I think even at like West Ham away, he played like right wing back or something like that. But I think Webster is for me maybe the most likely, because I think Ralph Rangnick said, well, I think there was something about him potentially telling the Man United hierarchy that Maguire and Shaw, I think among others, were not good enough for Man United. So I don't know if Southgate will listen to that, but I know he does like trust his players who have performed for him. And to be fair, Harry Maguire has done well for England, I would say. But I'd say in terms of the fact that there are so many right wing backs or right backs is a shame for Lamptey, because I think he definitely offers something that I think no one else offers, which is just blistering acceleration and pace, and just a fearlessness going forward. We obviously have loads of great right backs, but I think there is a dearth of talent in comparison for the centre back. So I think Webster could potentially be someone, because he's great with his feet. I think Tom mentioned one bit about him running through players, but there was one bit I think in the second half when he picked up the ball around the halfway mark, went past one player, went past another, went past Rudiger to get into the box, and then sadly just passed it straight to Kepa. But it was just like it reminded me of I'm not sure if you remember Kurt Zuma's run for Chelsea against Ajax, where he just kind of ran from his own half, but then fired way over the bar. But it was just like, wow, he was deceptively quick. So I'd say, in answer to I'll give you a rambling quick answer, but I'd say Adam Webster, personally, I think would be the closest one.
Fair enough, and I'm going to press you for this because there's a lot of debate at the moment whether Adam Webster is better than Lewis Dunk. I think Brighton fans will always say Lewis Dunk at the moment. Who do you think's the better centre-back, Richie? Lewis Dunk or Adam Webster?
If the competition was chesting ability, Lewis Dunk, hands down. Everyone remembers that Leeds United one.
Fantastic.
That was beautiful. I think I think Kurtis said about laughing. Yeah, I laughed at that. That particular one was ridiculous. But I still think Dunk is at his best is better. But I think the gap has narrowed, and I think Webster could even become more of a complete player. But I still, Graham Potter knows better than anyone really. He still says that Lewis Dunk is the best player at Brighton. I think maybe Yves Bissouma is getting close to that, and maybe Tariq Lamptey, because last night Potter said that he was just on a couple of occasions he was just like blown away by Lamptey. He was just like, I'm just enjoying this so much. This is brilliant to watch. But I'd say I'd still give it to Dunk for the time being.
Yeah, fair enough.
They complement each other really well, which is what I like about our defenders, because you've got the likes of Veltman, who can transition from that right back to right wing back to right centre back. So we've got that, and I think what I think Dunk does perhaps better than Ben White did last season, and what Adam Webster does this season, is he's more of the, I suppose, old school centre back, will head everything and anything away. Not that Webster isn't, but I think that's part of Dunk's game that is stronger than Adam Webster. So when I think you've got them together in a two or as part of a back three, they just complement each other really well, which makes us a threat going forward, as we saw last night with the goal from the corner, but also means we can defend corners pretty effectively as well.
Yeah, and so just a really quick one. Dunk did score, I think, 5 goals last season.
He did.
I think Webster scored 1 or something like that. So, I'd say aerially, to back up Tom's point, I think aerially going forward and defensively, I think Dunk has the edge.
for sure. But how lucky we are to have that array of centre back at our football club.
I do have a question though, by the way, because obviously
for it.
Dunk's going to have to come back maybe at Leicester, I believe.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, who's going to get dropped out of that back line, because Burn deserve to not start, because he's been fantastic, and Webster has looked good as well. But obviously Dunk has to start. But do those other two deserve to be dropped?
Does he have to?
No, not necessarily. But this is my point. Well, what do you think? What do we think?
So just really quickly, I actually asked Graham Potter about this last night. So yeah, I said that you've got essentially before, like, pre-injury for Dunk and currently for Dan Burn, they were playing arguably the best football of their careers. Like Dan Burn, I think definitely. Like it just in terms of the last month or so, it's just like he's had these gears that I didn't think he had possible. Like they were there. He's just gone like wow. So I said that it must be a good feeling that you have these great, very good defenders to call upon. But is there something of a dilemma about who's going to get dropped? And he basically said that there's going to have to be we're going to have to do some serious thinking, because it's not going to be fair to drop anyone at this rate. So I do think if Dunk does return, it'll be interesting to see, because obviously they've got like a 2-week gap. So, he might go on the bench and then come off it just to get a little bit of, get rid of the rust or something like that. But it'll be an interesting one. I think he did say that he's in contention to play, but I mean, what do you guys think? Who do you think would drop out?
I'm going to go nobody, and it will be I think here's one for you. We won't sign a striker. We won't sign a forward. What we'll do is we'll push Lamptey up the pitch, meaning Veltman slots in at right wing back, then a back five of Veltman, Webster, Dunk, Burn, Cucurella.
I'll take it.
As you say, I cannot see how you can drop any of them at the moment. I've really liked playing with a back four. I've really enjoyed it. Because obviously we've set up with a back three, back five, whichever numbers you want to throw in there. But I think that is the only way you're going to fix it. But what I will say about the back four we've seen recently is that we just seem to seamlessly transition between back three, back four, midfield diamond, 4-5-1, 4-3-3. And I think, when we're so flexible with the players we have at our disposal. There was a point last night where Jakob Moder was playing as an out-and-out striker, and Danny Welbeck wandered off to the left. And then a moment later, Danny had come more central, and I think Potter likes that flexibility. He likes the ability to change seamlessly without making a sub in a game. And my only worry is if you did something like that, would it kind of make the team a bit lopsided? But could you push Cucurella up further? I don't know.
The thing is, Tom, Graham Potter is a tactical magician.
He's a genius.
Potter is a wizard. And I remember watching when we first signed Graham Potter as manager. I remember watching a YouTube video where he does like a masterclass thing.
I know what you're talking about.
And he gets a whiteboard and he shows you shapes and all this sort of thing. Like,
was that the Austin's Galatasaray?
Yeah. No, I think it was like how he beat Arsenal or something like that.
Okay.
And he was showing you all the different shapes and transitions. But as you mentioned there, Tom, how fluidly we move between shapes is just wonderful to see. And I'm sure every single one of these players has the ability to do exactly what Graham Potter wants them to do. We mentioned about Gross and maybe him not being a Graham Potter player. Last night he was absolutely wonderful. Maybe he's not as versatile as some of the players in the squad, but if you put him in that role, my God, he can give you a performance. And, this team is just full of people that can just prove you wrong. As soon as you've got an opinion on them, they go and deliver, as we've said multiple times, a masterclass, and it's just amazing to see. So long may that continue. There was a little bit of to-dos, or let's say off the pitch, because technically it was on them with fan control. Something came out today. Richie, obviously I don't expect you to comment on this if you can't, but I can't imagine I don't know. But yeah, a club statement saying that obviously pitch invasions are prohibited. There was one guy who seemingly was maybe pushed over the barrier when Webster scored.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys think of that? And are you hoping that obviously he doesn't get a ban, because it didn't seem to me like he even wanted to be on the pitch?
I think he just got carried away, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't buy that he got pushed. I think that he did jump, but I think you could see immediately that he was like, my bad. But
Yeah.
it would seem harsh to have the same consequence, I suppose, as someone who willingly runs all the way onto the pitch. There was a Chelsea fan, I think, at the end who wanted to try and get selfies. Like, that is different to a guy jumping over the advertising hoardings, hugging Webster, and then trying to get back, I suppose. But I can understand that the club's stance of zero tolerance. I just hope that they apply logic to it, and they sort of, the punishment fits the crime, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Kurtis, would you agree with that? And obviously, the club are getting a bit of a battering at the moment because obviously the ticketing problems, and obviously how they've dealt with this problem. Obviously, we don't know if that club statement is towards that fan. It most likely is, but we don't know that because there were multiple last night.
Sure.
So yeah, what's your take?
I get the club, what they're saying and everything. Obviously they have their protocols, especially what with COVID and everything else recently. But I hope they look at the situations individually, as opposed to be like, well, they're all these dirty, disgusting pitch invaders, and we should all ban them all, right? But obviously, I feel like, the severity to it. Like, do you remember at Palace there was that one guy that ran on like tried to mug off the fans? That guy.
Yeah.
Like that. I can understand like something like that hypothetically. Maybe getting like a lengthy ban, but I don't know about like a lifetime ban. I don't know. That feels a little harsh to me. For like, but it's not like this fan at the Chelsea game ran on and streaked. He just showed a bit of passion.
Thank God for that.
But like I said, I just feel like I hope that they're individually looked at and they make an assessment that way. So
yeah, definitely. Richie, are you allowed to comment on that sort of thing?
I think I largely agree with everything you said. I mean, just generally, kind of, I do believe in sort of second chances. So if someone does something that's in the heat of the moment, you can maybe ban them for a short amount of time. But I think just a very kind of harsh thing like that, just for a lifetime thing of just celebrating with your team. Obviously, I understand there can be risks involved in certain things, and there have been examples in other sports. But I'd say, I think, because for example, I was actually when Brighton drew 2-2 at Anfield, there was actually a guy, there was a pitch invader who came on the pitch 90 minutes before the match. So the stadium was barely full, and this guy ran onto the pitch and got taken off. And then at the end of the game, 2 Liverpool fans ran onto the pitch, I think, to get shirts from different Liverpool players, and then managed to escape from the chasing after the stewards and got out. So I probably shouldn't laugh at this stuff. But, I think just generally, I would, I understand that the club's point in this, but I would sort of err on the side of second chances and looking at it by sort of a case by case example.
Yeah, definitely. And it's such a difficult thing for the club, obviously, to deal with, because as we say, that this situation, especially with the Brighton fan who managed to get that hug in on Webster, it's going to be tough, because if it's a guy like us, and he follows the club and loves to have that distraction of going to the football on a weekend or on a Tuesday night, and that's taken away from him just because of that. Yeah, that's going to be really tough to swallow. But it's one of those things that, unfortunately, at the moment you go over those hoardings, it has to be looked at, and as we said, let's hope it's looked at individually. But we won't dwell on that too much, and we'll let the club do their legal proceedings and all that malarkey. One comment I wanted to bring up with you guys just very quickly is on one of the Brighton Facebook groups where other fans can comment as well, like not Brighton fans. They commented on one of my mum's posts saying, or one of my mum's friends' posts saying, why are you celebrating a draw? And why do you keep celebrating draws? Because that's all Brighton do. And I just want to share with you my response to this, because at the time I was writing it, I was like very, very vainly agreeing with myself. I'll just bring this up. So
Great point.
I know, right?
Thanks,
I
Joe.
said we're celebrating a draw with the European champions because 25 years ago we were almost out of the Football League. We were homeless. We were sharing with Gillingham. We had a stadium with a running track around it filled with trees. And now we're competing in the heavy heights of the Premier League. We're 9th in the Premier League, going toe-to-toe with the best footballers and the best managers probably in the world. We beat a Man City. We just played the European champions off the park twice. The thing is that the reason we're celebrating is because we are fans that recognize football progression and progression in a club, and we don't really give much time to instant success like Chelsea buying all the players.
Talking
So
of which, the six players that they substituted on and off, those 6 players cost more than our entire squad.
Yeah.
You know, Tuchel can moan about, oh, we've got injuries and oh, we've got this and we've got that. He has got world-class players at his disposal. He had a bench last night that was filled with talent with experience across Europe of European top leagues, of European football. And it's so disrespectful that, like, his comments post-match, there's no credit to Brighton. There's nothing like that. It's just excuse after excuse after excuse. And I think it's very easy for fans of certain clubs, especially of a certain age, who know nothing about Brighton and Hove Albion, to say, "Oh, you're celebrating a draw again."
Yeah, oh, you're a small club.
Yeah, we're a small club, but the only people that care about the size of a club are normally children and old men who are still living in the fact that their club won a trophy in the 80s. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a fan of a small club. I just don't subscribe to that utter childish drivel. There are certain clubs that I freely admit are a huge worldwide global sort of marketing giants. Your Manchester United, your Real Madrid, your Barcelona, and I totally get that. But if you can't make it count on the pitch where football is played, it doesn't matter how big your club is.
Go on, Tom.
That's my 2 cents about that. Maybe I've reached the age of 30 now, and I'm like, I don't care about that.
You say about the excuses that Tuchel gives about obviously COVID. They've probably had some games called off because they haven't had the squad that they want. Richie, you've probably been or listened to every single Graham Potter press conference before and after games. Has he moaned once about the situation or tiredness? No.
He's. I mean, this is why. Like another reason why people should really just admire Graham Potter, because he just gets on with it, doesn't moan about it. He's I think regularly just says if there's injuries, it's like, well, it's never an excuse. That just gives other players a chance to step up and come forward. And just on your point, Tom, about the bench, Tuchel also didn't bring on his star-studded team until like the 80th minute. Yeah. So if you're really worried about like fatigue and stuff like that, bring him on the 46th or something. It just And also just on the other point about the celebration thing, are you not supposed to celebrate a goal in the moment? It doesn't matter. If a ball goes in the net for your team, you go nuts, limbs everywhere. That's it. Like there's no what, and then you're supposed to go like, oh yeah, but we drew. But yeah, no, what if we scored in the last minute? Then yeah, you're going to be very, very happy about it. It's just people need to use their brains.
Go on, Richie.
By the way,
Yeah.
a little stat for you guys, right? Chelsea have only conceded 2 headed goals this season, and they're both from us.
Yeah.
Go on, Welbs and Webdini. Love it. Yeah, we'll take it. Amazing, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Richie, thank you for your time today. It's been amazing to talk to you and find out all about the other side of the press conferences and all that fun stuff. If you have made it this far into the podcast, go to @RichieMills2 and tweet him a player and he'll give you their date of birth.
There we go.
Not Googled. Anyway,
And also
yeah.
just give him a follow because his articles are fantastic. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Check
thanks
out
so
his
much for
work.
having me on, guys. I really, really enjoyed it. It's really good
Thanks
stuff.
for
Keep
coming,
doing
mate.
what you
Thanks
do.
for coming.
Yeah, no worries. Thank
Cheers,
you
Rich.
very much. Yeah, cheers, mate. Kurtis, you're Kurtis now.
Yeah.
Kurtis, thank you. Tom, it's a pleasure. Hope you feel better soon.
Cheers, bud.
Stay safe, be happy, be kind, and up the Albion. Bye-bye.